Hello, everybody. Michael Tracy here. So, the House Intelligence Select Committee on Intelligence just wrapped up its marathon 5-hour hearing on the supposed collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. That's right, 5 hours. I don't know how many people managed to sit through the entire thing. I probably saw 4 hours or so, and I will watch the remaining hour later. Just wanted to give some preliminary thoughts on this meeting, which was, again, widely anticipated. People have been looking forward to this thing as somehow liable to unearth the smoking gun on Trump and demonstrate that he ought to be removed from office or impeached or whatever. The first major announcement was that Comey confirmed that there was some sort of intelligence inquiry that is ongoing into Trump's purported ties to Russia. Now, we had been aware that there was something like this in existence for some time now. It had just been never formally confirmed by Comey directly. So even going back to August, I believe, when there was that initial uproar around whether Manafort had properly registered as a foreign agent, there were reports that some kind of criminal investigation had been opened. So that's not entirely new. It's simply new that it's now confirmed on the record by Comey, the FBI director. So that's number one. It's being kind of portrayed in the media as this bombshell revelation that this investigation is happening, but really, you didn't even have to be schooled at all in reading tea leaves to know that that was the case in the first place. Watching this, you can't help but be just galled by the weakness of the Democrats' case. And none of this is to excuse Republicans. I'll get to them in a moment. But I just want to focus on what Democrats harped on in this hearing. For one thing, you had basically although no evidence has yet been established that there was any kind of meaningful collusion between Trump and Russian operators, you have Democrats grasping for evidence in this vein. Namely, they're grasping for evidence that Roger Stone, so this comical figure, dirty trickster, has ties to Trump, but is sort of off the rails. The evidence that Democrats now are latching onto to suggest direct Trump-Russia collusion is that Roger Stone may have DM'd on Twitter with this entity Guccifer, who was spreading leaked information on various Democrats during the election campaign. Now, dirty little secret, a lot of journalists also communicated with Guccifer. He had, I think, an open direct message option on his little Twitter account. His or her, I don't know if it's a he or what, but the idea that DMing somebody is now evidence of collusion is it's just too preposterous to even fully articulate. So I'm now curious to know if journalists, of whom there are many, I can assure you, who communicated with this person or this collection of persons called Guccifer, are they also now implicated in some kind of collusion scheme? I don't know. That's yet to be seen. Democrats tended to refer to their suspicions as this ever-widening web of links and connections and theories as to what is really going on between Trump and Russia. So Jim Himes, who's a Democrat from Connecticut, referred to it as, a quote, a series of odd connections and, quote, weird links. So, I mean, if after all this time, if that's all you have, a series of odd connections and weird links, and you have to draw this web to posit any kind of firm collusion, then I think you're kind of going down the wrong path. And probably most clownish in doing this was Representative Jackie Speer of California, who, number one, did something extremely dangerous. She referred to the purported Russian interference or hacking or whatever term you want to use as a, quote, act of war. And she also then likened Putin to a tarantula. So Putin is supposed to be at the center of this web that has sprawled out to encompass factions in the Trump orbit. And, Putin is the spider sitting at the center. I was told on Twitter that tarantulas don't actually weave webs. I can't confirm that with my own independent reporting. But it's just this paranoid streak that's being fomented. An ever-widening web, a tarantula at the center. It's this sort of reductive view of geopolitics that makes out Putin to be this omniscient actor or all-knowing entity who single-handedly controls everything that goes on within Russia or even around the world. I mean, that's the kind of mindset that's being fostered by Democrats here, and it's really really dangerous. There had been signs, I think, in the past week that Democrats were going to begin to transition away from focusing on this. But given this marathon 5-hour hearing, the fact that this is going to be the main headline of the day, I think there's no indication as yet that Democrats are going to be moving away from this topic, mainly because they view it as the most tenable vehicle for weakening Trump politically and ultimately potentially removing him from office. So it's not. I don't think a lot of these Democrats have a good faith, principle-based aversion to Russia on an ideological level, although some now may. I think the main reason, the overriding reason for their emphasis is that they view it, again, as a vehicle for weakening Trump or uncovering some impropriety which could cause his resignation or impeachment. So that's the ultimate aim here. And then, also, and I'm going to write this all up later on Medium, so it'll be presented a little more of a cohesive form. But one thing that a number of Democrats on the panel did was they referenced that infamous Christopher Steele dossier, so the dodgy dossier, quote unquote, as if it were an authoritative document. So remember, almost everybody who has viewed or examined this document has laughingly dismissed its plausibility. But you had multiple Democrats, including Joaquin Castro of Texas, citing its findings as authoritative. And Castro even at one point tried to extract an admission or a comment from Comey substantiating the most salacious element of the dossier, which is that Trump was caught on video in some kind of compromising sexual situation. So even that road they're willing to go down. And then finally on the Democrats, Denny Heck, who is a Democrat from Washington, got so overly emotional about Trump supposedly forsaking patriotism and upending American foreign policy in the interest of furthering Russian interests, that Heck almost seemed to be on the verge of tears. It was actually sort of disturbing. So he is on this jingoistic. So one avenue through which Democrats think they can attack Trump on this topic is playing up the patriotism angle. So Trump is insufficiently patriotic because he seems to be exalting Russia or excusing their wrongdoing, right? So Heck really embodied that to an almost comical degree. And here's what Heck said. He said, quote, "This matters. It's serious. Our battleships weren't sunk and our towers didn't collapse a la 2011. I think he just misspoke there. He obviously meant 2001, although I don't remember any battleships sinking in 2001, so who knows exactly what he meant. But anyway, he continued, but make no mistake, 2016 is a year that we should mark on our calendars, and it's still going on. The attack didn't end on Election Day. So what Heck is doing here is he's trying to associate the 2016 quote-unquote election hacking in the minds of the public with actual attacks such as the 9/11. So they view getting to the bottom of, so the public writ large views investigating this matter with the same urgency that they would view a more conventional terrorist attack such as 9/11. First of all, that's incredibly misleading. It's fear-mongering. Nobody has been violently harmed, physically, at the very least, as a result of this hack or alleged hack. So the idea that it's of equal urgency to 9/11 is just blatant, I think, fear-mongering on the part of Heck. I'm going to try to get a clip of him ranting later. And then as for the Republicans, of course there's hypocrisy here because Democrats such as Devin Nunes, and who is the co-chair of this committee, have been extremely hostile toward Russia in the past. They wouldn't have tolerated even the perception of a Democrat colluding with Putin or being excessively closely tied to the Russian state apparatus. So the idea now that they're pretending that they have no qualm with it whatsoever is sort of unconvincing. And on top of that, what they tended to do in the hearing was not try to dissect the more outlandish claims the Democrats were making, but they tried to pivot the discussion to the supposed leaks that had been coming out. And there have been leaks that came out of the intelligence community. Remember, Mike Flynn's phone calls were intercepted and then selectively released to the Washington Post. So it's true that leaks have happened, but the Republicans, such as Trey Gowdy, tried to make that the overwhelming focus of their portion of the hearing. And what Gowdy in particular was trying to do was to basically extract a commitment from Comey and Rogers to, in effect, criminalize journalism. Basically try to extract a declaration from Comey that publishing classified material could be punishable under criminal law, so therefore journalists would be criminally liable. So that is foreboding, irrespective of what you think of the particular leak in question. I sort of question the utility of the Flynn leak. I don't think it revealed major wrongdoing akin to, say, what Chelsea Manning revealed or what John Kirikawa revealed, or any other number of leakers who have actually took personal risk to give the public certain information. But that being said, the idea that journalists ought to be held criminally liable for publishing classified information that they've been leaked, whatever the motive of the leaker, is really dangerous and would set an extremely alarming precedent. So there was insanity in every direction at this particular hearing, and that sort of comports with what my prediction had been. You know, I had never been on principle opposed to investigating Trump's purported ties to Russia. My only issue has been that it's almost a guarantee that any such investigation or series of hearings will ultimately devolve into the kind of deranged hysteria that we saw on display today. So that's about it for now. Curious to know what you might think if you happen to have watched the hearing or portions of the hearing. I'm going to write something up a little later today and kind of go through some of the claims made a little more thoroughly and carefully. So that'll do it for now. Hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon.